And what I like to do at the beginning, like it says we're live and everything. What I like to do at the beginning is just wait a minute or two. Actually, I learned that from you, Paul. Wait a minute or two as we go live, just to have people come in, even though we are 6 minutes late. It still doesn't hurt. There's a new thing I've noticed in StreamYard. Let me just go to the, yeah. There's a new thing I noticed in StreamYard that I don't know how long it's been there, but right in the top left corner, there's a little Wi-Fi icon showing you your strength of your eye.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
I don't get that.
You know what? It may be brand new because I never seen it before, and it's fluctuating as I talk to you. It's going from 1 to 2 to 3. Now it's actually gone away. I don't know what's going on. Now it's gone away.
We can't see that. Only you can see that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think being the host. Oh, that's what you meant. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you meant because I know you have StreamYard too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're already 2 minutes. Oh, you're just putting that in there. Oh, that's the remarks.
Nice.
Oh.
That's the article. That's the article. It was something Elon said in the Q4 earnings call. He actually talked about cast parts, and if you have cast parts, it's not, you can't have an exoskeleton, right? So,
that would be sad news.
That's
okay.
sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's start her up. Are you guys, by the way, before we, I know I said let's start. Are you? I know Paul, you are you're an iOS guy. I know you're both actually, but your daily driver is iOS, is it not, Paul?
Yep.
Yeah. Kev, what are you?
I'm like Marcus Brownlee. I carry both. I got one in each pocket.
You're what's the term? Agnostic.
Ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous. That too.
yeah.
Kev, are you Android or iOS?
I'm Android. I'm Android. Hard Android.
Hard.
Yeah, he makes fun of me.
Yeah, you're okay. You're like Franklin, the Franklin.
Yeah, he's Franklin.
He's Franklin, the Android freak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry if you're listening, Franklin, wherever you are. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. Yeah, I say it all the time to you. Anyways, let's start. Okay. Welcome to the Tesla Talks podcast, folks. It's been a few weeks. Welcome back. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for tuning in, listening or watching or whatever you're doing. Anyone in the chat room, thanks for joining along with us live. And if you have any questions, anyone that comes in the chat, if you have any questions, just like any other week, feel free to join in. Feel free to give your 2 cents. And if you have a question, ask it away. We'll save the questions till the end. Usually I have my sidekick, Franklin, that he does all the questions and, looking around for people that have questions, and he just puts them aside and saves them up till the end. Or if we have a lull in the topics or something, or it's pertaining to what we're talking about, we'll get it out. But he's not here, so I'm going to rely on these two fine gentlemen to help me out as much as I can do myself. But with the topics and talking, I'm not very good at multitasking at times. So any little bit of help works. I appreciate it. We have Paul, Tesla Canuck. He's the staple.
Hello.
And I think he's the new, he's the new Franklin. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Only better looking, right?
Better looking, much better looking. Yes. And you know what? If you're what do they say? If you're confident in your manhood, you have no problem saying whether a man is good looking or not. So yeah. That's it. I just said it.
That's what I like to say. Yeah.
And we have a new person to the show that's never been here before. His name is Kevin. Kevin, or we should call you Tesla Kev.
Sure.
Welcome to the show, buddy. Thanks for having me. No problem. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for helping us out and coming on the show. Kev has extensive wealth of knowledge when it comes to Teslas. He's been on Paul's show a few times on Tesla Connect's channel, and he's just, if you listen to him for just 5 minutes, you understand this guy's the real thing. So wanted to get him on, wanted to pick his brain and have him help us out with the podcast tonight. Hey to John in the chat room from Minnesota, where it's 10 Fahrenheit. Wow.
10 Fahrenheit. Wow.
Okay. It's what, about -10, -12, -13 maybe here in Celsius. That's pretty cold. They're getting a dose of what we're getting. And you know what?
Isn't that near Fargo?
Yeah, maybe.
12 Celsius.
Yeah.
-12. Okay. Yeah. I you know what? learned this since I was a kid. And some things you never forget. You just carry it with you through life. Sometimes it's meaningless and it's pointless. This is on the border of pointless, but I've always remembered that 11 and -11 is where Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's where they
Celsius,
converge.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard that. That's
roughly. I think it's like it's roughly around 11 and -11 is where they sort of meet. So when he said 10, I figured, okay, that means it's got to be a little bit colder than our -11. So anyways, that's your science little top test for the.
Well, there's just one more just on that topic very briefly. So there's also, you can, what is it? You double it and add 28.
I've heard
or
that.
You subtract 28 and divide by 2.
Divide by
Something
2.
like that.
Yeah, 28.
There's your science lesson for the day, folks.
Yep, I've heard 28 or 32, but 28.
Yeah.
Basically anywhere between, say 30, just to cut it in half. But yeah, that gives you the rough estimate of the conversion. Thanks for that.
We promise we won't talk about science anymore unless it's batteries.
No, we will. We will talk about science as much as we can. And if anyone else in the chat room has any science conversion tips or anything like that when it comes to speed or, anyways, let's go on. Kevin's like, what have I got myself into? But speaking of weather and speaking of cold, this is test related. I think I could say it's safe to say on both of your behalfs. Our thoughts and prayers and all that kind of stuff you add in there goes out to our friends anywhere, basically, in the States that's not accustomed to cold snaps, that are going through the cold snaps, but mainly where we're thinking of right now, and I think what's mainly in the news is Texas.
Yeah.
I've been listening on Clubhouse, talking to some guys from Texas there throughout the day and yesterday, and it's not fun stuff. And some people are taking this opportunity. Hey, Mark, in the chat room, some people are taking this opportunity to make it political down there and talking about how it's the infrastructure and how the renewable energy is failing when we need it the most, and we shouldn't be using it. And what they're talking about mainly is the wind power down there. Yeah. And talking to some guys earlier today that are from there, they're saying that there's 2 different types of windmills, and I guess when you get them from the supplier or the manufacturer, you can get the all climate version of it. And I'm dumbing it down a lot. It sounds stupid, but no, apparently it is, where
they didn't get the winter package.
Yeah, the winter package. Yeah, the winter enhancement package. And that's why some of them are failing. But you know what? What I found out too, after asking around and stuff, their power grid depends on wind by only 25%. So only 25% of their actual power grid is dependent on wind. So it's not like wind failed and that's what drove everyone into, pardon the pun, the ice age. But and now they're rolling blackouts and stuff like that. But it's in the news, and they're not accustomed to it. So we could sit here in the Great White North and say, and laugh at them and make fun of them that they don't have snow removal or any kind of de-icing methods and stuff like that. But it happens so infrequent. Like, I mean, why would they, right?
Well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Mark has got the right idea in the chat. I mean, we talked about this today. Mother Nature is notoriously unpredictable, and so anytime you've got renewables, you almost have to, at least today, take the Australian approach and pair it with megapacks, right? And that takes the sting out of this kind of stuff. I mean, I think possibly they were trying to cut corners or save a few bucks, but it's not Mother Nature's fault that Mother Nature does what she does, right? It's our fault, I think, for not appreciating the way that Mother Nature works, right? And so there's a lot of people going to be bagging on renewables right about now, but they should be bagging on the folks who did the planning around this, because it's a pretty easy problem to solve if you know what you're doing. So.
Yeah, well, let's hope some things can be learned from this experience. You were saying, Paul?
Oh, I was just going to say that I was at Super Bowl 2011 in Dallas, and the exact same thing. I think this is worse this time around, but I was caught in Texas with ice storms and snow, and
Really?
and that's where I learned about the solar effect. I mean, on the news, they just kept talking about the solar effect, waiting for the sun to kind of melt the ice that was on the freeways, because they didn't have the the icers, or the salters or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel for them. I was there when it happened once before. So,
well, I told a story earlier today from probably about 20 years ago, probably going back, 15, 20 years ago. My buddy worked for Pepsi at the time, and he worked at the big head office here in Canada while it was still here in Canada. And their bigger one down in the States was in, I believe, Dallas, Texas, or just outside Dallas, Texas. And he went down there for a week for some kind of meeting, some kind of big head office meeting. And one of the days, he had a rental car and everything. One of the days, he woke up in the morning and it was snowing, like not a lot. He said it was like a dusting of snow, but he thought nothing of it because he's here from Canada, got in his rental car, drove down there. He said it was slippery and everything, but he noticed like there was no one on the road. So he thought, okay, whatever. He gets to the head office and it was nobody. It was a ghost town. He said he was the only one there. So he got on the phone and his boss is like, no, it's snowing. We don't work when it snows. Go home. So he went back to the hotel, and he said the whole place literally shut down because, like you said, they have nothing to combat it. They just have to wait for Mother Nature to fix it. Yeah. So hopefully everyone's okay and everything works out. And I heard that they're gouging. It's not intentional, but maybe it is. The power companies are raising rates, like hydro rates. And if you go to the supercharger, you could potentially, for like a long range Model S, and you're empty and you fill it up, potentially it could cost you $900. I was reading an article today. Did you guys read that?
Oh boy. You want to go, Kevin? Why don't you start?
Oh man, you really unleashed this one. So that article was originally published by oilprice.com and picked up by Fox News. And one of the convenient pieces of information they left out was what they did is they took the spot electricity price and they multiplied it times the size of a Tesla battery pack and came up with this $900 figure. But the reality is the electricity you pay, like the supercharging rate you pay, is they have fixed rate contracts, and so they don't fluctuate daily with the price of electricity, right?
It was all hypothetical.
Yeah, it was all hypothetical, except they forgot to mention that small little detail, right? And so it was hyper clickbait, if you ask me. But we had a significant chat about this today, Paul, and our group. So but it was put out by oilprice.com. Go figure. I missed that, by the way, too. First way around.
Yeah, you know what? I should have picked up on that. I feel stupid now. You're right. It's a fixed rate. I guess the oil companies are just
it's sensational.
It's fun, right?
But on the podcast with Joe Rogan, I know we're going to talk a lot about this later, but
that's
Elon
really all we're going to talk about.
Elon was saying, don't bash the oil people, right? And like, he had a lot of good reasons, I think, to say that. But the thing is, I think on the flip side, there's a lot of Tesla bashing that goes on by big oil, right? So, and this one, right, it just kind of irked me, and I think it irked our group, that Tesla Kev and I are in. That just, it irked us because it was all bull, what.
Yeah, no, it irks me too because now I fell for it and I feel like a fool. But I'm glad you guys, I'm glad I brought it up. I'm glad you guys corrected me and educated me because I would have went to bed thinking poor people in Texas
paying $9,000 to.
in the comments, Drive Tesla Canada also mentions that if he made a good point. If you're some people in home charging, they are on fixed spot rate electricity rates in Texas, and so
power walls.
They would get screwed over. But for the most part, most people are either in tiered or contract based pricing, and so they're not at the mercy of the market, especially in Texas. But theoretically, I guess you could, if you're on a spot market rate plan in Texas. What? If you charge at home, you could get dinged with a bill like that. So
a worst case scenario.
Crazy.
Yeah, but you know what? It still has nothing to do with Tesla though, because
of course,
you take 1,000 square foot home. right? For like, what's it going to cost? It's going to cost you $900, to operate your home, right? Like, so it's got nothing to do with Tesla.
If you
it's
got an
just
electric
so
oven,
sensational.
Yeah, if you got an electric oven, you cook your turkey, it costs you $400, right? So
yeah, exactly, right?
But you know what? It just goes to show you like how I fell for it, and I was so easily convinced of that just initially until, like I said, you guys helped me out. Just today, I was in one of the Facebook groups I run. I forget if it was the Y or the 3 group. Some guy posted something complaining that he just got a Tesla a month ago, and his bill, he checked his bill before he got it, and he checked his bill that just came in the mail now, and he previously used 2,000 kilowatts 1 month, and now it's up to 6,000. And he's like, that's got to be the Tesla. And everyone's commenting saying, are you sure? And I'm like, no, but nobody bothered to do the math. So I'm like, wait a minute, let's do the math. I did the math, and I said, even if you take that extra 4,000 and you cut it in half to say, okay, maybe 2,000 went to the house, and the other 2,000 went into the car, that's still in a month period, he would have had to charge his car, I think the calculation I got, 25 times or something like that. And he would have put on more than 11 to 12,000 kilometers just in driving in that month. So if you just stop and think, which I didn't do in this Texas situation, you would have known that, it's not possible.
Sounds like his neighbor hooked their house up to his grid and we're sucking his electricity.
Well, that was one of the jokes, but what he found out is he had a tenant. He forgot about this. I don't know how he. See, this is the thing. People are just so quick to go on the internet and just type away and not stop for a minute and think. But he realized after he has a tenant in the basement or on a second floor, one of them, that had his apartment, because it was cold, at 30 degrees, some tropical temperature, and he was using baseboard heating. So, of course, it's going to skyrocket like that.
I think there's another word for that. It's called grow up.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Okay, let's get started. I mean, I just wanted to touch on that. Oh, you know what? Before we go any further, I just want to show you guys something. I know what's his face would be very proud. Earl from Frunk Puppy would be very proud or be very mad if I didn't do this. This is my new little, well, it's the whole family's little new addition to the family. She's full grown. She's 3 years old. Her name is Stella, and she's going to be in the Frunk, in a lot of pictures in the Frunk in the future. Oh, am I boring you to death, Stella? Anyways, Stella, that is the Tesla Talks podcast, folks. I'm going to give her back to my daughter. My daughter wanted me to get her on, and I forgot.
Hey, Kev, can you move your mic up a little bit? Cool. Thank you.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So, where was it? Oh, yeah. We're talking about Kev. Like we always do when we get new guests on, we just take a couple minutes to just get to know you, and you can just explain, where you're from and where you, how you got into Tesla and where it all started and stuff like that. Do you mind taking a couple minutes and just telling the people at home a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm in around Toronto, Canada. I got my first Tesla in 2017. It's Model X 75D. I've put about 110,000 kilometers on it, which is, I'm trying to do the math here, 75,000 miles,
nice.
Maybe. In the 3+ years I've had it. I also have a 2018 long-range Model 3 rear-wheel drive with about 50,000 kilometers, so about 30,000 miles on it. So in the couple of years that you've had both cars, I've got well over 100,000 miles of driving experience with the Teslas, and actually, I think I was the guy who introduced Tesla to Tesla Canuck. So
that's true.
Yeah. So yeah, no, and I've
You're
been
to
all
blame.
over. Yeah, I've been all over Canada. I've been all over Canada and the United States, supercharging, long range travels. I do daily commute to downtown Toronto. So, over 100 kilometers, 60 miles every day. And so I've got a wealth of experience using autopilot, the supercharging network, non-Tesla charging networks. I mean, you name it.
You've even used a Chatamo.
Yeah, I got a Chatamo adapter, and I got soaked by a a bunch of those Chadmo chargers as well. So yeah, no, I've got a wealth of experience. Everything from window tinting and wraps to leather seat covers and pretty much every accessory you can think of. So yeah, there's not a lot I haven't seen in the last few years around Tesla. So
that's awesome. And do you have FSD on any of them?
Both, actually.
Both? Oh, sweet, sweet.
So
I can't wait.
Yeah, I got FSD for $2,500 on the on actually both cars.
Oh, smart man. Yeah, get them on both. Well, yeah. Paul's shaking his head.
Well, I paid $4,000 for the Model X for FSD.
That's great too, buddy.
Yeah, and I think I paid $4,000 for the Model 3 as well.
How come you paid more than me?
Because you guys got that uber special deal after Elon felt bad for decreasing the price.
Yeah, that 48-hour
Model 3 or whatever it is. Yeah, so like everyone I know with a Tesla who didn't have FSD bought it.
Well, why wouldn't you? You got it right away.
That's only me. I bought it with the car. Yeah.
No, you know what? You know what? If I ever had to do it again, I'd do it because that deal will never come up again.
No.
I know with Teslas, never say never, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty safe to say never. That sounds good. So it sounds like you've got a lot of experience with Teslas inside and out, Kev.
Yeah, the one thing I lament is the fact that I didn't get chosen for the full self-driving beta, and it's because my wife tells me that I'm not what they deem a quote-unquote safe driver. So I just told her that it's not out in Canada yet, but no, she thinks it's because I'm not deemed a safe driver. So
yeah, well, don't feel bad. You can join our club.
Yeah.
When I say our club, all the other people I know that don't have it either. And then if somebody does have it that knows me or I know, and they just can't say, well, then, they can't say, and I don't feel bad.
We think we know someone like that, but we won't mention names, and I'm going to be very upset.
Do you? I don't even know that person. We got to talk off air.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now you got me curious. There's so much things that I don't know that I'm always the last to find out in this community. I don't know. Well, thanks for joining us, buddy, and hopefully tonight you can bring some of your knowledge. And well, I mean, you already did. You corrected me on that whole Texas thing, but
thanks.
And you know what? We were talking just before the show started, and I think this next topic, our first topic, you can shed some light on some information that you knew that I don't know. I didn't even hear about. Now, we didn't have a show last week, and the week before I was a little bit busy, but there wasn't much news to talk about until Elon started going on this, it was like what's it called when actors and actresses go on tour or like promoting and advertising a movie that they got coming up? That's what it seemed like Elon was doing. He was on Sandy Monroe. He was on Joe Rogan again for 3 hours. And I apologize, Paul, if you actually felt you needed to listen to the whole thing today. I know you'll listen to it eventually at your leisure.
No, I was just kind of joking about that on Twitter.
Okay.
Of course, I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I mean,
it is.
Just listening to Elon talk about stuff it's both entertaining and enlightening.
and you know what? Before I didn't watch it right away. I probably watched it a couple days afterwards, in pieces, because 3 hours. It was over 3 hours. I don't know anyone that could just watch the whole thing all in one shot. But if you can, you got time. That's good. But what a lot of people were saying that watched, the early people that watched it, said that it was a different interview. He felt, or he seemed more relaxed, more comfortable and everything like that, which
Definitely.
He did. Yeah. But you notice when he did, it's after that he started getting those ryes in him or what was it? Rye or whiskey or whatever, or same thing. But yeah, when he started having a couple of those drinks, he loosened up a lot. That's the comfortable Elon. But anyway, so what I'm saying is a lot of the news that we're going to be talking about tonight comes from that. There's one that just dropped before we went on within the last hour or two that wasn't from any of the podcasts or any of the shows and stuff like that. But the rest of the news is going to be referenced from his interviews. And the first one he talked about the Cybertruck. Joe brought up the Cybertruck to him. I mean, they talked about almost every topic known to that has to do with Elon, which is good.
We talked about Skynet.
They talked to aliens, man, which I'm surprised. Are you guys surprised that?
Yeah, he doesn't believe in aliens. Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Well, I talked to a friend at work, and I said to him, we were talking about this, like, he doesn't believe in aliens, but and we all find that hard to believe. But the joke is, I don't know if around your circles if the joke is this, but I know some of my friends, the joke is that he's so intelligent, he's so out there, and he wants to go to Mars, and he wants to go to outer space, that obviously it's a tongue-in-cheek joke that he's an alien himself. So maybe this is why he's dismissing that there's no aliens. Wouldn't it take someone that's disguising himself as a human to live among us that is an alien to say, no, there's no aliens? And what do you say? If there is, they're being very subtle.
Yes. Well, for those of you back in the day who used to watch Smallville, maybe he's a meteor freak. Who knows?
Oh, and I never did watch that. You'll have to explain it.
You did? Oh, okay. No. Smallville, Superman, growing up, high school.
No, I know the premise. I don't understand the meteor freak that he's from a meteor.
People who had superpowers because they were infected by kryptonite.
Okay.
Yeah, so I digress, but it wouldn't surprise me, if Elon was not from around here, if I can say it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And all this to get to our first topic, which was Elon gives new and old details on the revised Cybertruck design. Now, we've been wanting this for a while. We want any news of the Cybertruck. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you guys are in the same camp as me. Yeah. And this article is brought to us by our friend Darren at Drive Tesla Canada. And basically, this is the whole. Okay, I'll get to the point right away. Elon said on Joe Rogan that they're making it 3% smaller, and the only reason he gave as a practical reason, I don't know if you guys buy this. Tell me if you buy this. Is so it can fit in the boring tunnel, because when he took it with Jay, it was very close, and he didn't like that. I don't know. Like, does he have a future plan with the Cybertruck for the tunnel more so than the X? I don't know. Enough so
I don't think so.
No, I wouldn't think so either. But
I think at some point they realized that, hey, this needs to fit in people's garages.
But you know what?
That's probably closer to the truth.
You know what? An F-150 won't fit in most people's garages. So
really?
I've never.
I got my Ram 1500 into the.
You got a giant garage, then, mister.
Yeah, have you seen your garage, dude? No, people don't have that. Those the Tesla Canuck garage.
Good point, Kev.
I guess not.
But no, I think I'm not really sure what the 3% thing is. The rationale for it is. I mean, it could be the tunnel, but I'm with you, Dax. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of Cybertrucks in the boring tunnels. I think it's going to be more S's and X's and 3s and Y's. But I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, and maybe
regulatory. Is there something that maybe, I don't know, didn't comply with something?
But you know what? But didn't they say that the original specs, when they revealed it, specs are almost identical to an F-150? Yes. So I don't see how it could be regulatory in that sense. But you know what? I mean, people are freaking out. A lot of people are like, no, I want it bigger. I was listening to this one podcast a couple of days ago. They're like, no, I want it 10% bigger. Well, that's that. I think it was fine the way it was, but I also think 3% is not gonna break the bank and or kill the truck in any way, shape, or form. It's not gonna people aren't gonna be dumping their reservations in droves, in my opinion.
So Dax, I think you're the only one here on the podcast who's actually seen it in person. So. Yeah. What is your take on how big it was? I mean, did it look outlandishly big?
It's big. It's freaking big. It's big. Now, I don't know if it's because of the sail, the sail. I don't know if you know what I mean when I say sail, yes. the angle. Yeah. But it's big. But you know what? When I say it's big, it's no bigger than an F-150, as we know from the dimensions, but just, I guess, the shape of it, because it's maybe that odd shape, almost like triangular door wedge shape, makes it look bigger, but it's its size. If I can find it later in the show, I'll dig up a picture. I mean, I'm not a big guy. I I can fit in the third row of a Model Y, put it that way. I'm not a big guy, but I've got a picture of me standing next to it, where I took a picture up on stage with the clay model, which is supposed to be identical to the real thing. And I look like a child next to it. So for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, I mean, you wouldn't be on this podcast if you didn't, but if anyone needs a refresher timeline of what went on with Elon talking about the changes and stuff like that, Darren really broke it down really well in this article. Here's a tweet from Jason back on April 16th of 2020. He asked basically, what's the biggest change to the Cybertruck so far? And Elon replied and said, reduce the size by roughly around 3%. Center line is more in level with and lower window sill height. So I remember there was, I should have pulled it up. So when we found this out, somebody went and they actually scaled it down and lowered the center line and everything, and they put it online, and they had you take the mouse and you toggle it back and forth, left to right, and you could see the difference between the old and the new version of it. That was pretty cool. So you could see it was it made a difference in size, and it looked, I think, with that whole center line and the window sill height, made a big difference in terms of the look of it, in my opinion. So that was back on April 16th. So that's what we thought. Fast forward a few months to May, fast forward a month, just over a month, to May 23rd, 2020. Viv asked, I guess after the whole Jay Leno thing, she asked something about the car, about the truck. And Elon responded, he reviewed the design with Franz, and even 3% smaller is too small. So he basically said it'll pretty much be the size it's at now. And he'll make a smaller truck for people that want a smaller truck in the future, at some point. So he went from the original size to 3% smaller, back to the original size, and now in 2021, 3% smaller.
It's bizarre.
At this point, I think we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But
maybe just throwing us off the trail. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
and honestly, how much smaller is 3%? Is 3% significant? Like, I don't know.
Well, someone, and I wish I had this too, someone did the math. I remember reading something last week or on the weekend that they calculated the difference of 3%, and I think it shrunk. I want to say it shortened the length by, I can't remember, say 15, 20 inches, maybe not even that much. And then it did something to the width, a few inches too. It brought it in. So yeah, maybe that is the difference for some people, fitting it in their garage and not. But at the end of the day, like Kev says, it's a truck. If you get in your garage, cool. If you don't, you don't. But
and Elon's been on record a couple of times saying it doesn't need to be in a garage. He actually has come out and said it does not need to be in a garage.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but he's said it out loud like many, many times. So
I know Paul's take. I don't know your take, Kev. Are you interested in a Cybertruck? Is it in your future?
I'm currently, I think, 110,000 on the list. If you go by the numbering system that's on the internet. I waited 3 days before I put my name on the list, which was I think a critical mistake.
So you're not interested?
No, Paul is about 100,000 people ahead of me because I waited too long. So, anyways.
Well, we all know. Let's be honest. We all know what that scheming system, how much weight that holds, right? So you'll probably get yours for Paul.
Now, there's one thing that Kevin's not saying here that's really important, because we had different strategies. So Kevin's strategy was to get permission, and my strategy was to ask for forgiveness.
Always a good strategy.
Spouses.
Yes, I do the same thing. I'm in the Paul camp for that one. Sorry, I just had to check stations here. Remember that? Yeah, remember that Key and Peele skit where they talk bad about their girlfriends or their wives, but they always look around the corner to make sure she's not there yet. And you have to see it. I can't even explain it. Anyway, it's funny. But while we were talking about the Cybertruck, Kev, you heard some interesting news that shocked the crap out of me. I don't know if you knew about it, Paul, but I had no idea. Something
You
about
dropped the bomb.
yeah.
I mean, it didn't get a lot of play, but I think there was an article in Inside EVs on it. But if you go back to the Q4 earnings call, Elon had made mention about, he was talking about the gigapresses, and he was talking about using sort of a much more powerful high pressure die casting machine for the Cybertruck, much bigger than they use for the Model Y, which is around 8,000 tons of force. But he was talking specifically about using a die casting machine to make the rear piece of the Cybertruck. And the problem with that is, if you've seen everything up till now, the exoskeleton is a unibody. It's a one piece sort of exoskeleton, and so you wouldn't be using a die cast machine to be making an exoskeleton, and frankly you wouldn't be using a die cast piece along with, it's like putting a frame on inside of an exoskeleton. It just doesn't make any sense. And so there's been a lot of chatter about whether the Cybertruck will actually truly have the exoskeleton that was talked about on launch day, or whether it's going to be built more conventionally, with large die cast pieces and a traditional body type system. So it's thrown the whole exoskeleton sort of theory into chaos a little bit. But yeah, I'm not sure how to reconcile the whole die cast press with exoskeleton for the Cybertruck. And he definitely mentioned that they will be using a die cast press for the Cybertruck. So I'm not really sure what that means for us, to be honest with you.
Yeah, could he have meant that for just the structural pack itself? Like that's what Trevor here is saying.
Well, yeah. So in that article that you're showing there, they actually talk about it. They're saying, the structural pack will be in the center of the vehicle, and not in the rear, right? It's not, and he's quoted as saying the rear piece, right? The rear of the vehicle. So, I've
like
seen
the Y.
Theory. Yeah, I've seen that theory, and I to be honest with you, I don't know what to make of it, honestly, because I can't see them doing both.
No,
right?
no, and to think if they go away from the exoskeleton, I mean, that's a big selling feature for many. For one, I mean, I'm sure it's not the only selling feature, but on top of that, I would think that they would have to go right back to the whole drawing board to start over. Wouldn't that sound like they're going back, starting from scratch?
Well, and in that same conversation, it's a really great point, because in that conversation, the same conversation that Elon mentioned, the large press, he also said that development was now complete, and so there will be no more changes to it. So to your point of whether you got to go back to the drawing board, either they already went back to the drawing board and are redoing this thing in a different way and just not saying anything, or there's some other explanation that I honestly I can't think of, guys, really.
Yeah, no, I remember hearing. Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
I was going to say, does it really matter? Because other than the hardcore Tesla, freaks like us, is anyone going to care if it's exoskeleton or some hybrid of an exoskeleton? I don't think so. Personally, I think it won't make any difference.
It's funny because if you watch the last, I think it's not the last episode, but the second last episode of Sandy Munro Live, he actually did a comparison of the Cybertruck's exoskeleton with three trucks: the Chevy Silverado, the Ford F-150, and the Dodge Ram. Yeah. And one of the points he made in that podcast was just how revolutionary the exoskeleton was, and how it would be an absolute game changer and competitive advantage for Tesla, and basically be one of the strongest trucks ever made, right? And so I have a hard time thinking that they wouldn't do that, because that just goes contrary to what Elon does, right? So
yeah, if they walk that back now, and even if they did, you're right, they it's something that they wouldn't announce or disclose to us, because that would change the the market, the stock a lot, I think. And at this point, he probably doesn't want to. But can he get in trouble for not disclosing that at the same time? I don't know. But you know what? I think it will. I think like Trev says here, it's going to be like, it's a hybrid, right? It's going to use a little bit of both. And yeah, I mean, I think from what I understood, and I remember watching that interview, but I didn't pick up on that at all. So thanks for bringing it to our attention, Kev. And I didn't even see that article. But what Trev says here, and what I've always thought from the very beginning, how they explained it is, yeah, there'll be some kind of frame, and in this case, it's going to be a structural frame with the front and back and maybe middle where the pack is, and then the sides, or what they call the exoskeleton, will be tacked onto it or screwed onto it. Hopefully, it's not just screws, but you know what I mean. Like somehow it'll be bolted onto it, onto the frame, so it won't be a frame. That's how me and my layman mind thinking thinks it will work. So I could be wrong, but that's what it sounds like to me. Hopefully they don't go away from it, because I think it'll be strong and it'll be safe either way, but I just hate to see them have to walk it back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still going to be stainless steel, right?
Yes. We won't have to worry about paint.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Bulletproof? Is it still bulletproof?
You know, I said that before, talking about this. I don't care. Like, personally, I don't care. I'm not a person that hopefully will never get shot at.
I might.
Whatever. Yeah.
No,
yeah. But you know what I mean, though? Like, I mean, why I wish they hadn't announced it that way. Just like the same reason I wish they hadn't talked about the glass being indestructible is when we get these cars, I mean, I don't care if it is dent proof and stuff like that. I'm the type of person that I what's the word? I cherish my belongings, and I try to take care of it as best as I can. And I don't like anything. I don't like people touching my car. I don't like, even though I've got like full protection on my car, and for the most part, it can't scratch like a traditional paint can scratch, but I still don't want people touching my car. Even I yell at my son when he goes around there in the dead of winter and it's all covered in salt, and he takes his finger and he drags it along it. I know nothing will happen. I still yell at him.
That's pretty extreme.
Yeah, I know. And my wife yells at me like, "Why are you yelling at him? You know it's not going to scratch." And I'm like, "I know, but it's just a habit he gets into, right?" or the habit I have of yelling at him.
Did you see, like, just quickly on the topic, like a friend of ours the other day sent us a picture, and somebody literally leaned their bicycle on his car.
I saw that.
I can't believe that somebody would do that.
I'd like
was asking to have it stolen, is just put it in your trunk and drive away with it, because that's kind of what I would do.
Yeah. Well, it was after the fact when he got back to the car and he saw his Sentry video that was triggered. But yeah, no, that would drive me nuts. I don't know if I would be able to. I don't know.
Can you imagine the goal of that? I don't know.
Yeah, I saw another one yesterday on Inside EVs where a guy walks up to a car and he's parked right next to it, and he just takes his bottle of water and he just splashes the bottle of water, like empties a bottle of water on the car. So it doesn't hurt the car, obviously, if it was water, but just it's just, once again, it's that Tesla hate coming through.
A lot of hate.
A lot of hate. I don't get it. It's a car, man. Yeah. Okay, moving right. Unless you guys have anything else to say about the Cybertruck. Thanks for putting in that info, Kev. Like I said, I didn't hear about that. Let's talk about the Model S refresh. It was spotted today. I don't know if it was today, but it made it to Reddit today. In Ohio. Was it Ohio? Let me scroll down. I think it was in Ohio. This article is brought to us by Electric. Yeah, I want to say it was in Ohio. And it looks like it was in a dealership. Anyways, it was spotted, and there's two pictures of it here. That's the exterior picture right here. And you can see it's got the tow hook out there, and it just looks like a regular white one with a white interior. It looks nice. I don't like those wheels though. Anyways, that's not why I'm showing it. But the Reddit user was nice enough to take a picture of the inside, and what everyone saw right away was the steering wheel. And
I saw the coffee cup.
Well, yeah. See, I saw the coffee cup, but I thought nothing of it. I just saw the steering wheel, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe now people will stop whining so much. All the anti-yokers.
Anti-yokers.
Yeah, I guess I just made that up. Anti-yokers. Yeah. And yeah, they saw the steering wheel, and It's a regular traditional steering wheel. But what I saw after I saw that, I zoomed in a little bit more. And if anyone watching at home that hasn't seen this yet, I zoomed in a little bit more, and this is much. Anyways, right down here in the center console, there's like looks like a label maker labeled for things, I guess, by the center console or in the center console. It says park. If you can read it really carefully, it says park, reverse, neutral, and drive. So I don't know if those are toggle switches. Those are just, I don't know what those are, but what that definitely denotes to me, and you guys tell me if I'm smoking something, that this is a prototype, is it not?
Yeah, I think it's a pre-production version. It's probably one of the test versions coming through, and so I've heard a bunch of things in this regard. One of the prevailing theories is the yoke is not yet ready, or hasn't gone through final production readiness, and so they're just sticking regular steering wheels on the test vehicles until the yoke is ready. That's one of the prevailing theories I've heard. I don't know. I seem to think I take a more moderate stance. I seem to think that, Tesla threw out the whole yoke thing as a way to gauge interest. But the reality is probably going to be that you'll have an option of either or, probably on the long range version, and then it may come standard on the plaid versions. The yoke becomes standard. But I'm thinking that's probably more of a middle of the road approach. But I don't know.
Yeah. You were saying something about the coffee cup, Paul?
No, I was just saying that's the first thing I saw in the picture was the coffee cup, because I was like, what?
Yeah, and if you look more carefully in that picture of the coffee cup, you see that it's obviously on top. It's taped something, and more than likely, like even Mark was asking, but like Kevin said, like Trevor said in the chat there, it's, where is it? He said, it's the
gear shift.
No, imagine it's a manual shifter. It's a cup that covers the emergency stop button, I guess, so they don't hit it inadvertently or something. They were too many close calls on their way from California to Ohio. So they said, you know what, damn it, next time we stop for Supercharger, grab a coffee cup and we'll just put it over this damn thing so we don't keep hitting it or nearly hitting it. So yeah, it's probably what it is, because a lot of we've seen other production or pre-production cars that have the emergency button there just for whatever reason you need it there, right? So it's interesting to see. And then it's got some kind of cabling or connection going to that button of sorts, or the coffee cup.
John's got a good idea. He says it's a Uniden radar detector, R7.
Oh, yes. 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 From 1976, where they use a cup and a string.
Mark says it's a gaming joystick.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, Mark, it could be a gaming joystick for sure. Yeah. For did they still have Pac-Man? Or did they have Pac-Man in the car? Not Pac-Man.
No.
What was the one? Asteroids. They had asteroids in it, did they not?
Yeah, they did. Yep. Yeah. Asteroids.
So yeah, that was interesting. And then further down in the article, someone mentioned that the person that took the picture spoke to some of the salesperson, and they said that the S and the X will have the customers will have an option to get either or. Now I think that's true, but once again, whenever I hear something coming from a Tesla salesperson, I take it with a big grain of salt, because call us Tesla freaks, or I'll call myself Tesla freaks as risk not to insult you guys here on the panel or anyone listening. But when I hear that, whenever I hear someone said, "Oh, my salesperson or my delivery specialist told me this," take it with a big grain of salt, because I think we know more sometimes about some things than they do.
100%.
Yeah. So take that. I mean, I believe that we will have a choice, but take that this person said with a grain of salt. We got a couple more. Let me tee that up. In the meantime, you guys just talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think I like to mention that you know, I did talk to one guy, and I think I mentioned it in our forum, Paul, that they had cold called me asking me to upgrade my to trade in my Model X for another Model X, and this was before the announcements of the refresh. And he actually said there's going to be a refresh Model X, and if you order it now, you'll get it in March, and it'll be a refresh version. He didn't say what it was, and I at the time, I didn't know exactly, but I did mention that I thought it would be the Model 3 type interior, which is the horizontal screen, and I wasn't sure if there was going to be a and neither was the sales guy either, but he did mention there was a refresh way before talk of refresh was actually public. So
good for him. That's one, and that was your advisory or your sales guy.
Yeah, it was just a cold call asking me to trade my car, and actually they call me quite often actually.
Yeah, I've got a couple calls. You know what? Speaking of trade-ins, if I had more time, and maybe we'll just touch on it a little bit. I wanted to bring it up as a topic. It was one of the articles that Darren had brought up in Drive Tesla Canada today. The trade-in values, or even the value, not even the trade-in values, the resale values for Model 3s have gone down immensely. I thought the last time I got a trade-in value was back in December, at the end of that December push. And I thought it was low because they just were too busy and they were just spitting out numbers uneducatedly and stuff like that, if that's a word. But it seems like, no, this downward trend, like a sharp downward trend of the values for the Model 3s have been going down quite a bit. And I guess it makes sense because with the popularity of the Y and a lot of people moving from 3 to Y, it's saturated the market with 3s now, right? Mm-hmm. So anyone that wants a good deal on a 3, I guess it's a win-win for you. But anyone that has a 3 that's looking to offload it to get a Y or to move on to something else, that may be a little difficult for you because they've gone down quite a bit. And some people are mad. Sorry,
one of my friends, there's like a $6,000 difference between November and just a week or so ago.
Oh, buddy, for me, well, not November. Mine was the other value I got, or estimate I got, was back in, I think, the end of summer. So September, early September to December, it went down almost 10 grand.
Jeez.
So now it's even be more.
You know, on the flip side, I think if you watch my channel, you know that I've traded in my Model X for another Y. That's a long story, but the flip side happened. So with my Model X, which was a 2017, in the summertime, they offered me low 50s and that's Canadian, so funny money for the car. And then just recently, when I traded it in for a Y, they offered me $6,000 more. And I figure that's because the new X's are so much more expensive. Like they've gone up by about 30,000 or so, at least here in Canada. And then in Canada, it's by the time you do tax and all that kind of stuff, you're well over 150,000 Canadian dollars for the cheapest Model X, right? Yeah. So I think I benefited from that, and was fortunate enough to be able to get another Y, which I love.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. No, you'll have 2 Ys, and you got such a good offer that who would have blamed you to just take it and run, right?
Yeah, I couldn't say no.
Yeah.
Well, and you also got a pretty good deal on trading on your 3 as well.
Yeah, I did. Like I'm not sure if I can say the exact amount. Let's just say I got mid 40s for a 2018 rear-wheel drive June manufacture date. So that was back in end of October, and we picked up our first Y end of November.
Honestly, you can't look
changes.
You can't look on Auto Trader or anywhere else and find a private one. You can't get rid of a private one for that price anymore. No, even with low mileage on it. It is what it is. I mean, we're all in. Anyone that has a 3 that's thinking. I was originally, but I'm not anymore. But we're all in the same boat. So you just have to either suck it up and do it and take the hit, or live with your car. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with anyone that has a 3. I mean, unless you've outgrown it.
I loved my
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Fantastic car.
And Paul's getting too wise, and most people would say, he's a billionaire. So this leads to our this segue is good with our next story, which, speaking of billionaires, Drive Tesla Canada once again brought this article to us. Tesla, and this happened probably about a week or maybe 2 weeks ago now, so it's old news, but I wanted to bring it up just so I can get your guys' take on it. Tesla and Bitcoin. It was announced by Elon. I think it was Elon and somebody. Was it in the earnings call? I forget where it came from.
I think it was in a filing.
Was it a file? Okay. Announced that they invested, or they purchased $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, and they're going to start accepting it as payment. So a lot of people, so many people in my Facebook group was so upset about this, saying, what are they doing? They're a Mickey Mouse company. This is a terrible future purchase agreement, or however they worded it. It was investment, or I think they said. So I want to get your take on it. Yeah. Let's
break this down. Okay. So Tesla ended the calendar year, with about 19 billion, if I remember correctly, in cash or cash equivalents. So they could stick some of that, into a term deposit, and, earn next to nothing. So this is brilliance and madness all at the same time, because it is so risky. But let's kind of talk about what did happen. Okay, my understanding is that the purchase happened sometime in December. So the average price that Tesla paid for Bitcoin, probably in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 at the high end, US dollars, 30K, 25K to 30K. Today it's trading, last time I looked, it was at 52,000, right? So, Elon's taken that 1.5 and turned it into 3. Like this guy's got like magic coming out of his, what, or something, right?
Yeah.
But if you put that in perspective, versus earning 2% on if you could earn 2% on cash, which I think is probably not possible nowadays, but you could build 2 gigafactories for $1.5 billion, right? So he's pulled off something absolutely ingenious here. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, my take on it would be, listen, every company with excess cash has the right to sort of invest that excess cash in sort of whatever investments they deem necessary. Paul mentioned they had 19 billion in cash. Admittedly, it is a bit of a risky play, but when you look at what how Tesla thinks and what they're looking at, they generally are building not for today, or not thinking about today. They're always thinking about sort of 3 to 5 years out, or 10 years out. There's numerous examples, right? Robotaxi. It's just, there's a ton of different examples of how they think, and so a lot of people. This is a very polarizing decision for them, but a lot of people look at it and say, if Bitcoin, tanks, well, they lost $1.5 billion of their 19 billion. Would it materially change the fortunes of the company? Probably not. But if they're right and Bitcoin becomes a thing, man, they position themselves so well. And so look, it's no different than any company today that needs to invest excess liquidity. Yes, there is a different risk profile associated with this investment, for sure. But they publicly filed it. They're following the rules. I'm not really sure why anyone gets upset about this, because frankly, it's not your money. So, the company has the right to invest it the way they see fit. And if it pays off, and so far it has, they've pretty much doubled their money.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how anyone could get bent out of shape over this, to be quite honest with you. So.
And I think I just want to address, Trevor has a good question there about, he says that he doesn't know any place where you can actually buy anything with Bitcoin. But I think there's 2 things at play here. So in the future, will you be able to transact for a Tesla and pay with Bitcoin? Right. That's one aspect of
The
it.
big if, yeah.
But I think the bigger aspect of it is that Bitcoin is akin to gold in the sense that it's a digital store of value is what it's become.
Commodity.
Right. So it's more of an investment than a means of transaction, unless, like if Elon thinks that Bitcoin's going to double, he may want to accept my Bitcoin in payment, right? Because now instead of earning 100,000 on a car, if it doubles, he'll earn 200,000 because he's got that person's Bitcoin now, right? So it's a very interesting strategy, and I think we've only scratched the surface of what Elon's actually thinking about here.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean, and that's exactly what Mark was saying. Like, do you turn it into money? Like, do you cash out? Of course you don't. I mean, while you guys were talking, I brought up just an article from today on electric. I don't know where they get their numbers from. I didn't read the whole article, but the headline says that they're estimating that Tesla's made over 600 million from the investment as of today. I guess, I don't know. I think last time I heard someone else convert it or did the math, it was 800 million. But so whether it's 600 or 800
today's
million,
probably a billion.
Yeah, I mean, well, this article was from today, so who knows? Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I see the brilliance in it. I see what Trevor's talking about too. Like, how do you convert it, or how do you pay for stuff with it? And the bigger thing is they said they're going to be taking it as a payment. So here's the thing, though. Do you and we're going to assume here that it's Bitcoin and it's going to be appreciating for some time to come. Yeah, it'll have its dips and everything, and maybe it may crash. Some people think it's going to crash and just all fall apart like a big pyramid scheme. But let's assume that it's going to keep
possible.
Yeah, anything's possible, right? But let's assume that it's going to keep appreciating. So here's my question: when I first heard it, that they're going to take it as payment. If you had, because as of now, or as of last week, I don't know, it's higher. You said it's higher now, right, Paul? Like 50, 52 this week?
Yeah, it's 52 last I looked today.
Yeah.
Let me just check.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay, that's US, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you could easily buy a Model 3 with that, right? So here's my thing. Would you take one Bitcoin and buy, and whether you have one or you have 10 Bitcoins, would you take one Bitcoin and buy a Model 3 with it? Like, would you take something that is more than likely potentially appreciating and trade it for something, let's all be honest, other than like supercar or some kind of rare luxury car? Most cars are going to be depreciating. So
Dax, let me answer your question with another question.
Okay.
Would you buy a Model 3 with a bar of gold? Because that's the question you're asking right now.
Yeah, good point.
Because with currency, banks and governments have the ability to print money, right? So they can add, they can take away, they can expand the supply, they can shrink the supply. With Bitcoin, it's a finite amount. It's like a natural resource, right? Although there is arguments to the counter to that, but let's just go with it. It's a finite resource, and so it's much more of an investment than it is a currency, right? And so the question, would you buy a car, or frankly anything with Bitcoin, would be the same as asking someone if they would buy something with a bar of gold or a bag of diamonds, right? And the answer is 99.9% of the time is no, right? And so I don't really see them. I'm sure they would allow you to buy their Tesla with a Bitcoin because it'd be very smart for them to do that.
Of course, yeah.
But I'm not sure any person would ever do that, to be honest with you, if they at least knew what they were doing anyways.
If they had more money than brains, which a lot of people in this world do. No, but it's just the whole Bitcoin thing seemed pretty polarizing, so I wanted to bring it up as a topic, see what your take was on it, guys, and people in the chat. So it was a good varying degrees of opinions. So that's what I like. That's what I like to hear on this podcast, that kind of stuff. So if we're finished with the Bitcoin thing, and oh, by the way, quick poll here: anyone got Bitcoin? Anyone holding on to a Bitcoin? 1 or 10 or 20?
I got in at $125, so I'll stop there. I missed the boat on the Tesla shares, but I did well on Bitcoin. So,
Oh, good for you, buddy.
yeah.
I'll be at your house in an hour.
I'm a believer in digital currency and digital store value, right? And Bitcoin was kind of first out of the gate. There's a limited supply of Bitcoin that will ever exist. I personally, everybody needs to think about their own investment strategy and risk tolerance, but I personally really like Bitcoin right now.
Good.
Yeah,
and some of the altcoins as well.
Why wouldn't you at a $1.25? It's hard.
But,
not to
it's a funny story because the only reason why
you meant $1.25?
No,
no, 125. But the only reason why I got some, because me and my buddy just wanted to try it out and send money back and forth, right? Because digital currency, the whole idea was new.
It's cool,
right?
Yeah.
And then it turned into a store of value somewhere along the way. It's very fascinating.
Wow, good for you.
Oh, someone has is it Dogecoin or Doggycoin? I don't know.
Dogecoin.
I don't really follow that one because it's
Dogecoin or Dogecoin.
Yeah.
No, Mark's got
Elon pumped it up.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing we didn't talk about is Elon's got enough social media influence that he can influence the markets.
Yeah.
So and that's something that maybe the SEC is going to be interested in. I don't know, but he pumped it up, no doubt.
Yeah, no, he did. But correct me if I'm wrong. Does that kind of digital currency like Bitcoin and stuff like that, are they what's the word I'm looking for? Are they policed the same with the SEC as the stock market is, or they're separate?
I don't think they're regulated, so I don't think those markets are regulated. At least not yet, anyways. So, frankly, he can say anything he wants.
Yeah, and I think he knew that. That's why I think he's been doing that with Dogecoin and Bitcoin lately. Yeah, he's almost sticking it to the SEC.
Just
who knows?
Look at the power this guy has, right? He says, hey, you know what? Facebook sucks.
Signal.
WhatsApp sucks. Signal's great, and what happens? The share price of Signal jumps 30% in one day, right? It's just crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Imagine he just says that about Tesla talks just once. Yeah. Moving right along. No, that's all jokes aside. Moving right along. Our last topic we're going to talk about, and this was getting back once again to the interview with Joe Rogan. Elon talked about, and I don't have any sound clips. I'm not as fancy as Ride the Lightning and Ryan's podcast. I don't have any sound clips. So we're just going to talk about it and pretend we all heard it. Or if you haven't, you'll go back and listen to it. Talked about the software updates and basically talked about airbags and seatbelts. And in a nutshell, Elon said that there's so much software that runs and analyzes the seatbelts and the sensors and the pressure sensors and all these kind of things and the weight in the car. I could scroll down. What's his face? Darren did a good article here and talked about how, I'll read some of what he says here. Different data points now include how much weight and where you are sitting in the seat, if you're a baby, a toddler, an adult, based on the pressure distribution on the seats, and can even maybe even do the probability of your gender. That's mind-blowing how they would be able to do that. But I think I may know how. But anyways, we won't get graphic. But yeah, so it dynamically updates the car, and it knows in a millisecond. It's doing this constantly, that in real time, that if there is ever a collision, it'll have those numbers crunched at the time of impact, and basically it'll know how much pressure to inflate the airbag or how much force and which airbag, which we knew anyways. It just makes, after he said this, I'm going to assume that not all manufacturers use the airbag technology with software like Tesla does. I'm sure some of them do, and they are intelligent airbags, but I don't know how many manufacturers actually use it to this nth degree to be so finite. It sounds amazing. Like I said, I don't want to think of the other manufacturers as dumb cars, but I already do. So I'm going to think of them even more as a dumb car when it comes to safety. But this is unbelievable. You guys have any comments about that?
Well, Elon was Elon when he basically said, seatbelts are now optional, right? Because the airbags are so good. I don't think he actually really believes that. Maybe he does, but I think he's trying to make a point, right? Which is, and you mentioned a lot of the sort of the smart airbags. One of the cool things he actually he didn't come right out and say, but he actually sort of hinted at was, they spend a lot of time optimizing the inflation rates and the inflation angles of the bag, but also depending on what's going on in an accident, whether the car is in the air or on its side or whatnot, the speed at which the bag deflates. Like he made a reference, you've got to deflate the bag or else you're going to suffocate someone.
Yep.
But he also sort of hinted at the fact that maybe you don't deflate the bag right away if your car's airborne, right? Or if the car's on its side, or if it's still moving at a high velocity, right? And you wait to deflate the bag. So he didn't come right and say it, but that I definitely took that away from what he was saying. Is there's more to just the airbag inflating and then sort of being done with it, right? So, and also the fact that there's tons of them. They're front, side, head, everywhere, and they all each have a job and they work in concert, and they, depending on what's going on with the car, they all perform a different job, right? And so, it's something that I've never actually given even a second of thought to prior to this podcast, to be honest with you, and I found myself thinking about it for quite some time after I heard it, because it was quite the revelation. I thought to myself, man, how come I didn't think of this? How come I haven't even given this a thought before? But and they really haven't said much, right? Like Tesla's not ever really said anything other than our cars are really safe, right? So
yeah. Well, I think to your point, Kevin, you mentioned that you hadn't really thought about it. I hadn't really thought about it. I think there's a really good chance that none of the other manufacturers have thought about it. And I think Tesla's probably in a league of its own here with what it's done with the intelligent airbags. And when I first saw this, when I read this story, what came to mind was an old movie. I think it had Sylvester Stallone in it or something, where the car gets into a crash
Demolition
and then
Demolition.
Yeah, and it turns exactly, yeah, and it fills with foam, right? And so I immediately was thinking about that. Right? So who knows?
Joe Rogan made that reference to the foam, and I was waiting for Elon to say Demolition Man, but they didn't say it. I was like yelling at the screen, saying, "Come on, man, come on!"
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I, like Kev says, I get what he was trying to say when he said that seatbelt thing, but you got to remember, I just think of how many, and I say this in the utmost respect for people, but it's the true representation sometimes to our society. There's a lot of stupid people, and when they hear someone as influential as Elon say that you don't need to wear seatbelts, and I know he didn't come out and say those words, but along those lines, or maybe he actually even did. But anyways, along those lines, he's got to be careful what he says, because, yeah, I get what he means. Just like Kev says, I get what he means. I get what his point is. But there's many reasons to wear seatbelts. And I'm not going to get on my soapbox and talk about road safety and anything like that. We're all adults here. We know what it is. But, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities where your seatbelt keeps you in place without the airbag going off. It doesn't have to be a collision. It could be just someone like darting out in front of you, or a kid, an animal, another car, and you just slam on the brakes. You don't impact anything. There's no collision, but without that restraint system, you're going to be eating a steering wheel. Now, maybe he meant that there won't be steering wheels in the future. Maybe that's what he meant, and then you'll be eating the dash. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're still going to need airbags. I mean, sorry, seatbelts. So anyone else think that it was irresponsible or a little childish for him to say? I mean, maybe childish isn't the proper word.
I think it's a little bit of hyperbole. That's all. I think he just likes to use it to make a point. Use the shock and awe technique to make his point. So
yeah.
I mean, I do want to just say to anyone listening or watching, please wear your seatbelt for now.
Thank you for that PSA, Paul.
Okay, you're welcome.
Tonight's PSA is brought to you by Tesla Canuck. No, Northern Tesla. He brings up a good point. Autopilot won't, right now at least, won't work without you wearing your seatbelt. So maybe
that's a good point.
Maybe there'll come a day where we actually have the choice, especially if we don't have any steering wheels, and we can't put it into drive or reverse because the car is just choosing it for us. Anyone here in Canada and anyone down in the chat still waiting for FSD beta or the new, even anyone that's on the beta system or beta program? Isn't it been it's been a good week or a week and a half since the last beta update, which was, I think, 8. Anyone, like, I think, I feel like we're due for another one, or we're close to V11 or something. Like, the last one we got was a little bug update, and I was kind of disappointed.
I'm still waiting for the second half of the Christmas.
Well, that's what I mean. And I have a feeling, I haven't heard anything, I'm just total assumption here, that the second half is going to be tied into version 11. Am I just like, because we never got it? Like I said, I don't know. Maybe just because we never got it, I'm assuming.
There's a lot of conspiracy chatter about no one in the northern climates getting a wider rollout of the full self-driving until after the winter, right? Because
that's
winter,
my theory too.
I mean, most people can't drive in the winter, so why would you expect the computer to do much better, right? Although it should be better, but there's a lot of chatter about that, and so don't get your hopes up about a wider rollout on full self-driving until they've actually had some time to fine tune it for the winter. So.
Yeah, and Mark says that it's a very good chance that they're going to be the release will be aligned with the SNX release. So I heard that too before, and I think that's totally plausible. You never know. Mm-hmm. Okay, if we're finished with that, we can with our topics. You guys have anything you want to talk about, or can we answer some viewer questions? I've got a handful that we're going to try to rifle through them really quick, like almost like a shotgun thing. We'll answer them real quick and then move on to the next one. You guys want to try that? Okay.
Do the firing squad.
The firing squad. Okay. Let me see if I have it up here. Okay. Pardon. Hold on a second. Okay. So we have this person named, and I'll say right off the bat, I apologize if I butcher your name. I'll just leave it at that. I apologize if I butcher your name, or maybe I'll be like Franklin. He never reads the people's names, so maybe he's smart, right?
I didn't say Nauman.
Nauman. That's what I'm.
Nauman
Yeah.
Kachani. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm not even going to try last names. I'm just going to stick to first names. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think Kevin got it.
Yeah. He did. He hit it. He's much better than me. He hit it right on the nail on the head. Okay. So Nauman says, so my charge port seems to be stuck in the lock position. The door opens fine, but I can't plug it back into the car. Thankfully, I have 85% juice, so I'm not super worried right now. Any thoughts? Should he blow dry it? Should he make a service appointment? Should he wait till summer?
So this happened. I presume this is a Model 3 that you're talking about.
Yes.
Is it a Model 3?
A 3 or a Y?
Okay, so I had this happen to me once in the very early days of me owning my Model 3, and it never did it ever again. I never had to have a service appointment. So what happened was it locked and got stuck in the lock position. If you open the trunk, there's a little flap that you pull down, and there's a little orange cable or a cable with a little orange tag on it. And if you pull on it, it unlocks the charge port. And it should allow you to charge the car after you do that. Like I said, it happened once to me with my Model 3 in the very early days. I never got it fixed. I never got it serviced. It never did it again. And so that it just got stuck once and it never did it again. So hopefully, Nauman, maybe that will help you. The only other thing I could think of is if it's frozen, if you throw the car into defrost mode, heat mode. So you hit the forward defrost twice and let it sit. It'll pipe hot air down into the charge port. So if the reason why it's locked, which I don't think it is, but if it's frozen, that will thaw out the charge port fairly quickly, and it should open. But those are the two suggestions I would offer up.
Can't add anything else. That's bang on. Only thing I will say, the only thing I will say is be careful when you pull down that tab that Kevin's talking about, that little aircraft cable, little tug thing. If you pull it too hard, like I did, and I guess I hulked it, I don't know. The little rubber handle, the little stopper, came off in my hand and detached from the cable itself, and I had to get a service. I felt like an idiot getting a service guy to come in. Mind you, I coupled it with with another service. I didn't bring him. I didn't waste a service appointment just for that. I mean, it's something I could have lived with. And what I did is I just took a pair of vice grips and I left it in that little well right underneath, and I kept it in there in the event that I ever needed that to open it again, and I never needed it. So yeah, no, Kevin, bang on. That's exactly. And I hope Nauman's got it fixed since then, because this question was from a day ago. Moving right along, this is a name I can pronounce. Only the first name. Erich. So Erich. I'm kidding.
I actually had an aunt with the same last name, so I can actually say the last name very well, even with an accent. Lamotang.
Oh, there you go. Yes, that's the little French accent on it. Accent aigu, yes.
It's very impressive, Kevin.
Okay, so Eric's got a dead or locked steering. Yeah, he says, I searched the post and did not find anything on this subject. My wife called me and said the steering wheel is locked and it's very stiff, and she's trying to back up from the parking spot. Tries to put it back in the park and reverse and drive a couple of times and still the same issue. Any ideas? Because I heard this happen once before.
I don't think it's a software glitch. I think it's something physically wrong with the power steering rack. Sounds like it anyways. I don't know.
Yeah, well, my buddy Rob McLean had the exact same thing happen to him probably 2 weeks ago, and he had to like really wrench on the steering just to get it into his driveway. He said he tried a bunch of different things, like you said, nothing worked. He left the car, went in the house, came back like half an hour to an hour later, and I guess it went into a deep sleep, and it all worked again. So I don't know if it was software. I don't know if it was just a weird thing. If it was something, I mean, I can't imagine it'd be frozen. I mean, it's all electronic, right? So yeah, there's nothing. I don't know.
It might be that the power steering rack is beginning to fail, so it's intermittent at first, and eventually will outright fail. I'm not sure, but I would definitely have it looked at for sure. Yeah,
good idea. Have it looked at. Okay, next question. Naeem, did I get that right? Naeem Ismail. Hey guys, I got a question about trade-ins. Oh, we talked about trade-ins earlier. Maybe this question's already answered. Maybe we can just let me see if it is, and if it is, we can just fast forward. If I include a trade-in vehicle, as part of my purchase, and am I obligated to trade it in, or do I have an option to sell it privately and then adjust amount upon delivery?
No, there's no obligation. You can bail on the trade-in anytime you want.
It's your car until you sign it over, right?
Yep. If you want to bail on the trade-in, you can do that and sell it privately, and then just tell them you're not trading it in. They'll adjust the invoice amount, and then you pay cash for the whole thing. So or whatnot.
And they'll be so mad at you. You know what they'll do? They'll add the tax on just to get back to you. That's how they get back to you.
It's one of the great things about trading in is saving the taxes.
Yeah. A lot of people don't remember that or don't realize that. You have to take that in consideration when you get that. And we were talking about it earlier, when you get that shock value of one amount that Tesla gives you, and you're like, wait, if I sell it, I could get it for this much privately. But you have to factor in the tax savings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along. Kristen has a 2021 Model 3. Her trunk won't close by the button. When I open it, it beeps twice. Then when I press the button to close it, nothing happens, and I have to do it manually. I couldn't find anything in the owner's manual. Any suggestions?
So that's the power. This is the new retrofitted power
the
model for truck.
2021s. Yeah.
No, that sounds like a service appointment if I've ever heard one. So I know the latches sometimes, especially coming out of the factory. I think Paul, I think you and I both had the same issue. The power motor latch for the frunk had to be replaced. On my car, I can't remember if you had to have that done as well, but
Yep.
yeah. And so coming out of the factory, those latches are a little bit touchy. I think this is something, probably a legacy thing from the factory build. I'd get it serviced. They'll probably replace the whole thing.
I'm surprised if they haven't sorted that out, because that happened to just about every. I don't think it happened to you though, Kevin, or did it?
The trunk?
Oh yeah, you got your groceries stuck in there, didn't you?
Yeah, in the front. Yeah, in the front.
Yeah, in the front. Yeah. So the latch mechanisms, I mean, hopefully they've gone through a few revisions since the early days of the Model 3.
Yeah.
Your groceries were locked in the front of a car?
Yeah, in the middle of January.
Only Canadians get that joke. Okay, moving right along. Go ahead.
Sorry, I have to drop, Dax. I apologize for the...
Yes, that's right. Yes, you were on a special time thing. I appreciate you coming on, buddy. Thank you very much. Where can people find you before you go? Or do you care?
YouTube.com/Tesla Canuck, Twitter, Tesla Canuck, @Tesla Canuck.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you coming out.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Okay. Thank God he's gone. I'm just kidding. It's just two of us, Kev. I think this may be the last one, or there may be one more after this. Okay. We're just gonna get through this, and then we'll wrap it up for everyone watching. Hey guys, planning on buying a Model 3 SR Plus in 2 or 3 months. How is the rear-wheel drive in snow? How many times a day do I get this question? Thanks for bringing the question up. I don't mean to say I don't appreciate the question.
So this is my 4th winter with my Model 3 rear-wheel drive. It's a long range, not a standard range plus, but they drive fine. I mean, obviously a rear-wheel drive car is not as good as all-wheel drive, but man, the precision and the drive control systems in the Tesla, presuming you of course have snow tires, please always buy snow tires. But as long as you have snow tires, my car handles just fine in the snow. So
yes,
no concerns. I would easily recommend the rear-wheel drive Tesla in the snow, unlike the BMWs I've had in the past, which were an absolute nightmare in the snow. But Teslas are just fine, nice and heavy, well balanced, low center of gravity, snow tires. You'll be fine.
Exactly. Snow tires. That's the key. I have so many, not so many. I have some people in my Facebook group that complain that the car's all over the place, and I just don't get it. I'm in the same boat as you. I have the same kind of car as you, Kevin, and I'm on my 3rd or 4th, I forget, multiple winters. And I just, you know what? It's funny. My buddy bought SR Plus, which is basically the same as us, other than a battery pack, in December. And he's never owned a Tesla. He's never owned a rear-wheel drive car, never owned a EV even. And he was a little apprehensive buying a rear-wheel drive car. And I told him, I said, put winters on, you'll be totally fine. He put winters on. Like I said, he messaged me a couple weeks ago. He goes, buddy, this car is unbelievably stable. He goes, I can't get it to the back end to slide out even if I wanted to. And I tell people that, even if you want to, you still can't get it.
I often complain to Paul. I wish that anyone could have track mode, because I get pissed off because I used to go, as a kid, I used to go to parking lots and do donuts, right? With my dad's old Parisian, like the old rear-wheel drive cars, and you can't have any fun with these cars like the old days. I mean, you can put it in slip start and do a little bit, but man, it never lets you get out of control. So
no, the computer still has some kind of traction even in slip mode. Yeah. Okay, moving on. John says, hey guys, I'm having a hard time getting a hold of these TPMS sensors. Anyone does know what that means? That's tire pressure monitoring sensors for the winter. Now, what I didn't include in this, he's talking about the new Model Y.
Yeah, and the new Model 3s also
Yep,
use
true.
the same ones. Yeah.
And these new ones, go ahead, Travis. Kevin, you're going to start one.
Yeah, so this is one I've got a great tire guy who specializes in Teslas, and him and I had a long conversation on this. So Tesla's moving away from the traditional, 300 to 400 megahertz radio frequency TPMS sensors, and they're gone Bluetooth, right? As far as I know, I haven't looked in the last week or two, but as far as I know, there's no third-party aftermarket Bluetooth sensors yet. So what you will be stuck with is having to buy those sensors, the TPMS sensors from Tesla, until someone comes out with a third-party version, and then we'll see if they're reliable or not. But right now, your only options for the new 3 and Y are to buy the sensors from Tesla, and they will sell them to you. You just have to ask.
Oh, that's all. I was going to say they're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
No. So that's it. If you're going to put winters on or any kind of tire swap, you're going to have to buy another set of sensors. Yep, that's your answer.
Yep.
Thanks for that answer there, Kev. Thanks for answering all the questions. I appreciate that. Once again, like I said, Kevin's very, very knowledgeable. Now, what I don't know, other than chatting with you and seeing you on Paul's shows and stuff like that, and chatting with you through email and stuff like that, are you active or very active on social media?
No, I'm more of a contributor as opposed to I don't really have the time to do my own shows. So I kind of sneak a few minutes here and there just to do my research. I'm on the treadmill, that kind of stuff. But I don't have any social media of my own. So happy to help you guys out anytime you want, though.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I'll definitely if you will allow it, I'll have you on again. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Folks, everyone at home, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If just a reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube and sometimes you look at it, we're just crossing over the hour and a half mark and you figure it's too long. What I started doing a couple episodes ago, and I will continue to, is when you see the episodes and you're watching it on YouTube, unfortunately, I can't do it on the audio streaming ones yet until the technology allows me to. But on YouTube, you can take the videos and split them into different segments, different chapters. So what I have been doing for the last couple episodes, and I will continue to go on, is I will put, if you just look in the description down below, if you're looking at it right now, you won't see because it's live, but after I get to edit it and it's processed and everything by YouTube, I will put in the description all the topics and the timestamps of where those topics are. So if you just want to get to a quick topic and you want to hear that and you've only got like 10 minutes, you can just fast forward to that a particular topic as opposed to listening to the whole show. If you listen to the whole show, it'd be great. But if you just want to come in, tune in, and duck out for 10 minutes at a time and listen to different ones, then you can do that with the chapters. So keep that in mind. Thanks for watching, folks. We will see you here next week with a whole new Tesla Talks podcast. Take care. Bye-bye.